Good morning, this is Wayne Bilal with another Smart Profit Maximizing Moment. Connection available. Love it when the internet's slow. Anyways, again, this is Wayne Bilal. I'm the Smart Profit Maximizing Coach. Hope you got the beginning because my phone was, God knows what it was doing there. Anyways, call myself the Smart Profit Maximizing Coach because I'm the creator of the Smart Profit Maximizing Method. And I've helped, basically a method I've used to help business owners increase their profits. One of the biggest tools I use is the 80-20 rule. Let me tell you a little story. Back in 2001, which doesn't seem that far away, but now it's 17 years back, I got approached to run for the school board, which I won, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly. But anyways, one of the things I didn't realize, if you've never been on something like that, it's basically a job you don't get paid for. I literally would spend the first couple of years, until I was president of the board for 2 years, 20 hours a week. And after that, it was even more. Plus, I had to keep my practice going. Plus, there was a lot of politics involved. So I didn't have time to do all the marketing I needed to do. In fact, it was dangerous to do some of the marketing because I could easily, some of the people, I was riling some people up and they were trying to set me up by sending me some clients. So I would have to literally almost interrogate any potential clients. And I just didn't have a lot of time to do marketing. So what I sat down and did is I sat down and identified my top 20% of clients. And then I even went a little deeper, and out of that 20%, I identified the top 20% of those. And I went and approached those. I looked at, I sat down and did some work with them and identified their needs, and I worked with them only. I had as good an increase in that year working with my top clients who had already showed they like me, trust me, and are willing to pay me, and had a need. So they already expressed that. So I sat down and worked with them, spent the time with them. Because dirty little secret is the 80-20 rule basically says, it's the Pareto principle. Look it up if you want to. It's an Italian monk from the 1600s, I believe, 16 or 1700s, who basically was, looking at his garden and saw that 80% of his output came from 20% of the plants. And he started using that and testing that. And it's a pretty good rule of thumb. I've actually seen it even worse. I've seen 90% of a business's profits come from 10% of their products, or come from 10% of their customers. All right. The scary result is it also shows that 8 out of every 10 hours that you're spending on your business is unproductive. Really doesn't have anything to do with driving profits, increasing sales and increasing profits to the bottom line. Kind of also means 80% of your employees probably aren't doing the work. Worked with a client, was putting sales bonuses together. They wanted my help with that. We basically saw that they literally had about 15 salespeople, if I remember right. 3 were bringing in 90% of the sales. All right. So, and it got worse than that. One of them was bringing in close to 60% of the sales. All right. We rearranged things, made it so you had to drive to the top pretty fast. You had to become one of those 3, or you were out. You quit usually because you just didn't make enough money. So we kind of arranged it that way. But that's kind of an extreme example, but not really. I've been involved in when I was at Magnolia Coca-Cola, I was able to, simply put, 80% of the work that was being done was pretty much wasted. What was happening was somebody would have a problem and they'd put in a procedure for a particular customer. And that procedure would be done for all 6,000 customers, or however many we had. We had a ton. All right. Now, the customer that caused the problem to start with was gone, but we're still doing this procedure. All right. So 80% of some of the procedures that I looked at Magnolia Coca-Cola were basically unnecessary and were inefficient. All right. That 80-20 rule I'm always looking at. I'm always using it as a tool. Always looking for what 20% of your customers are generating 80% of your profit. What 20% of the goods or service that you offer generating 80% of your profit. Using myself as an example. Last year we got rid of bookkeeping. Totally. All right. literally dropped my sales by $40,000, but increased my profit by $90,000, because sales doesn't mean diddly squat. It's profit at the end of the day that matters. All right. And that bookkeeping was taking a lot of time and taking my focus off my best customers who would pay me more and I was making more money on. Also, I could spend more time on tax planning, which I really have a good, if I save somebody $40,000, they're willing to pay me $5,000. I do a tax return, takes me longer, and the market says the most I'm going to get is around $2,000. All right. So again, it's a matter of focus and working on your most profitable products. 20% of your staff is creating 80% of the value that your customers receive. Really, companies are overstaffed, and I go through and calculate how to do a salary cap calculation. I'm going to show you how to do that in a challenge we're going to have later this month, early next month. I'm not exactly sure when. With tax season, it's difficult. But anyways, I'm going to show you how we do that and teach you how to do it, because you can calculate what your salary should be. And then when you're reducing it, you're going to look and discover that really 20% of your own employees are actually driving profit. And the owner, me, all right, I still do this as an exercise at least once a year. I'll sit down and actually write down, or put it in my computer, my phone, whatever. Actually write down where I spend my time. And then I go sit down and say, is this a good use of my time? Would I pay somebody $200 an hour, whatever I want, $100 an hour, whatever you want? Would I pay somebody to do that? All right. The very first question I always ask myself when I have a job is, who besides me can do this? All right. Because the number one profit constraint is the owner's time. So you really need to work on the owner's time. All right. Look. One of the things, too, how do you get this information? Well, the accounting records aren't just for me to do a tax return for you. You should be studying those. I spoke earlier, I can't remember earlier this week or last week, about the 5 critical reports you should be looking at. This is what some of the things you're looking at. One of them was the sales by customer, sales by product. Look at which ones are there, all right? We're going to talk about, obviously, gross profit sometime in the future, because you need to know which products are making money, all right? But look at your products. This will quickly show where you need to focus your efforts. Again, remember my bookkeeping thing. Sometimes you got to get rid of a job. You got to get rid of an item, even if it's scary. Every other CPA does bookkeeping. That's part of what they offer. I literally got rid of it because I wanted to focus on the profitable items, and I had other CPAs calling to see if I was getting out of the business because I was sending work elsewhere. All right. So here's some action tips for you. First, review your top 20% of your customers. List what they have in common. Decide what products they are not buying from you at the moment that they should be. Okay? Remember, your top 20% are spending a lot of money with you. They already know you, like you, trust you, and are willing to pay you. All right? There's no reason not to go to them and see if they'll buy more from you. Do the same with your products. Determine if you should eliminate some of your slow sellers and concentrate on the 20% of products that are bringing 80% of your profits. Seriously, there's no reason not to, honestly. That's logic, but we don't do it. We argue, we got to do that because it's kind of expected and we need this. And maybe you do, but don't focus any efforts on it. Definitely don't focus any of your your little bit of advertising efforts, all right? Review your sales team and other employees. Determine which ones are your superstars. Spend more time supporting them, all right? Pay them more, train them more. Eliminate the bottom 20% and work with the ones in the middle to try to bring them up, all right? Finally, see how the 80-20 rule can help you in other parts of your business. It's there. It is like a universal law that's going to be everywhere in your business. Trust me. The 80-20 rule can be used to really help you increase your profits. Hey, until next time, this is Wayne Belisle saying let's make this our most profitable year ever. Thank you very much.